Atlanta's nightlife is known for its drama, but this was surprising. Outside a packed bar yesterday night, cameras caught what fans are immediately calling the most ridiculous hip-hop and romance clash in years. A simple evening out descended into chaos when Bambi and Erica Dixon, women forever, bound together by persistent, unwavering gazes across the flashing lights, refused to give up. Phones rang, lives started right away, and the internet documented every second as the two women approached one another with that deadly passion you can't fake. Screams, shvees, and raw words cut as witnesses begged security to use the base to step in. But instead of de-escalating, the tension turned into a full-fledged street fight. In the thick of the commotion, it didn't seem like things could get any worse. A black SUV pulled up to the curb. When the person came out, everyone was in utter shock. Atlanta is a city where secrets are seldom preserved for very long. And in the realms of hip-hop and romance, nothing ever passes away peacefully. For weeks, there had been rumors that Bambi and Erica Dixon were about to collide. The subtle digs, the cryptic messages, and the dubious comments had all been seen by fans, hidden among random lives. Blogs were used to assess each video. Every tweet was turned into a headline. Furthermore, every sidelong look and grin demonstrated that the two women were no longer just putting up with one another. They were preparing for combat. While the cameras were recording, nobody expected the altercation to explode up in front of hundreds of screaming spectators. But when drama happens in Atlanta, it seldom stays behind closed doors. The night started off simply. Scrappy was scheduled as well. Organized in a lounge, one of those dark settings where patrons could like bottle service, where the DJ is louder than your thoughts and the guest list is more exclusive than a fashion show. The plan included an easy payoff, a chance to talk to supporters, a few shout-outs, and a return flight before midnight. But once it was discovered that Erica Dixon and Bambi were also listed on the RSVP, people's jaws dropped. Messy was history, and everyone knew it. Erica, the longtime ex, had built a reputation for being tough but brutally honest when pressed. The feisty wife, Bambi, became an intermittent ally. She was never one to keep her mouth shut. Add years of entanglements, a child in the middle, several receipts strewn over seasons, and confessionals from reality TV. By 10:45 p.m., you had two women who were bound to meet the moment the universe placed them in the same orbit. The room was bustling with activity. Arriving first, Erica's velvet coat caught the light as she moved. She walked confidently and smiled in a way that said, "I'm here, and I know you see me." After ordering a drink and taking a few pictures, she posted a brief story on social media with the comment, "Unbothered as always." Fans immediately took notice. The gathering was split between adoration and expectation. Blogs were labeled with headlines like, "She knows Bambi's coming." Erica's enthusiasm screamed against the controlled serenity, leaving others wondering whether she would laugh herself out of it or create a viral headline. About 11:15 p.m. Bambi entered. At the door, a seamless glide without any hesitation or delay, her group across the floor behind her. Because of her honeyed sheen and bright smile, many muttered that she seemed too composed for someone who was about to experience extreme hardship. Bambi was more than just what she wore to dinner. She was ready for battle. Every detail is exact, every appearance is purposeful. She could handle a quick wave, the gleam of a diamond, and a strategic wink at a fan with their phone out. She wouldn't allow Erica to dictate the narrative. In whatever story was being told tonight, Bambi was going to be the protagonist. Neither of the two women recognized the other right away. Erica drank cautiously from her drink, laughing enthusiastically at every joke, like if she had nowhere else to go. Bambi was scrolling through her phone in that detached, "this doesn't even matter to me" posture that fooled no one when she and her friends were leaning on a velvet booth. However, the enthusiasm permeated the whole room. Others walked closer to the scene, feigning to order drinks so they could be heard. Before he dropped a paper, even the DJ seemed apprehensive with its witching sounds. There was too much history there. At the same moment, the first spark soared. At one point, Scrappy dedicated the song to Erica, the same one where fans were dragging Bambi into heated online arguments years ago. When the beat halted, some in the crowd erupted in uncontrollable laughter, and Erica couldn't help but smile. It was caught by Bambi. Her visage had changed somewhat, but horribly. There's a gleam of cold steel behind all that shine. She touched her phone like a detonator, sending a short message that no one could read, but everyone could perceive. A few seconds later, notifications began to surface around Atlanta. A gossip website that exposes the alleged demi between Scrappy and Erica. Screenshots that seemed genuine yet were harmful. The caption said, "They both had receipts tonight." There was a gasp in the room. Erica's eyes squinted as alerts flashed on her phone. She lifted it and glanced at the screen before letting out a sharp, loud laugh that was meant to reveal two things rather than pain. "Say that this is not going to break." "Me." The walls appeared to press in more closely as Bambi tilted her head and curved her lips into a grin that whispered, "Try me." The gap between them shrank, not physically, but in energy. As if the night itself were leaning closer to hear what would happen next, the music got quieter. Scrappy, trying to act as a mediator, was caught between two distinct worlds. He kept one eye on Erica and one on Bambi as he walked about introducing himself to fans and flashing phony smiles. But his jawline was thick and his shoulders were stiff. He had been here before. He had known how these stories ended. Never softly, but not neatly. The action shifted to the pavement just after midnight, but the night had other plans, so he pulled out his phone, spoke to a friend, and shook, his head as if to say, "Not tonight." Erica left first, her stride swift and her jacket swinging like a shroud. They held up cameras and yelled questions like, "Shields, what about the DMs? You have anything to say to Bambi?" as they were surrounded by bloggers and photographers. Erica decided to ignore them, her lips meeting, her eyes focused on the future, and a few seconds later, Bambi appeared. With phones in the air, the crowd burst, and there was a chance that Team Bambi and Team Erica would fight like rival gangs. Erica spun around with her chin up, and Bambi stopped, her voice piercing the noise. "Don't mention me in your tales." "Then stop playing the lead in them." The air broke. That was all that was necessary. A shout went up from the crowd, and then there was instantaneous chaos as hands started to move and voices started to raise, and friends tried to block the women's path. A few seconds later, Scrappy rushed out, hands waving, voice straining to calm it, while others plead and encourage it. "You guys calm down. Calm down." But nobody was listening anymore. The sidewalk was a battleground of flashing lights, tripping heels, and finally, unrestrained anger. A black SUV with tinted windows slid down an inch as it rolled to the curb, and just when it seemed that security may finally arrive, headlights came on. The entire street exploded in horror as the stranger emerged, since it was someone neither Erica nor Bambi had ever imagined meeting in person. The crowd gasped and stopped, frantically trying to see who was inside. The door opened slowly and methodically like the start of a movie scene. In the second, the heel of a shoe struck the pavement, and the SUV door slammed open as if to convey its own story. The crowd gave out a collective gasp. Mama D got dressed. She had arrived like a queen returning to her throne, decked out from head to toe in a jacket covered with rhinestones that shone even in the gloomy streetlights of Atlanta. Bloggers yelled her name, admirers surged forward to get the perspective, and her magnetic presence swiftly absorbed all the stress and replaced it with a new kind of turbulence. Mama D's voice cut through the chaos like a sermon. "Young ladies," but even security looked unsure whether to halt respectfully or stop filming. "This is where this foolishness ends." It was the authoritative tone of someone who wasn't just breaking up a fight. Rather, she was going to make things worse in her own way, and she didn't sound like a peacemaker. His mother was known for pronouncing judgment and pulling skeletons out of closets, and judging by the velvet bag she was carrying, tonight was no exception. Scrappy halted, torn between embarrassment and dread. "This is none of your concern, Mama D." Bambi straightened her shoulders, her chest still pounding from the excitement. Erica instantly smiled and jumped on the opening. "She's always in control, I see." "It's her business. Don't you see that by now?" The crowd oohed, sensing that clash had just taken a new, nastier turn. Mama D, like a magician previewing her amazing trick, hoisted the velvet purse and shook it, saying, "I warned all of you," in a harsh but endearing voice. "The palace keeps receipts." The phrase receipts was used to notify the audience, and whispers swept through the crowd, phones tilted higher, and Erica's smile faltered somewhat. "On this street, you're not going to play with me," Bambi said, sharply, her brows widening as her fingers tightened over her phone, which was full of scandalous texts and perhaps leaked film from backstage moments that no one was supposed to see. If you let her play if she has nothing to hide, Erica will immediately react. The audience's yells and gasps fed the fire, and Scrappy, feeling very agitated, tossed his baseball hat on the ground and tore it off. "This is ridiculous. Are you all trying to ruin me here?" But in reality, the night had moved away from him, was about the struggle between his present and his history, which were 10 feet apart. Mama D gestured to the SUV, saying, "Neither of them is afraid to blink first." "Let's be honest, do you want to know the truth? We have the laptop ready." Some hopped onto cars as the throng raced forward, while others almost broke past the thin line of soldiers holding them back. Her driver, a man with a poker face who had clearly seen similar behavior before, leaned over the panel and turned up the screen. Drama was no longer the only thing. The entire street was the audience, and it was theater. Bambi refused, shaking her head. "To go. I don't belong here. I don't need this circus." But then Erica laughed and stepped closer to the SUV. People say that when they know that the receipts don't back up their claims, and an invisible current snarled between them as their gazes locked, daring each other to approach. The stifling suspense made even strangers hold their breath without realizing it. Suddenly, a muffled sound filled the SUV speakers, and as the laptop connected, a thumbnail of a hazy video appeared on the dashboard screen. Mama D stuck up a finger and yelled, "Play it!" as the crowd erupted in dozens of voices and chanting at once. "Who is it? Boost it." Relishing the tension. "Have patience," she mocked. "Good tea requires time." "It takes time." The video began to play, with shadows around figures in a dimly lighted parking garage. Despite the low quality, the voices were distinct. The first was a female voice. "Calm, but it's important. I told you that we can't keep running into her like this." The crowd recognized the beat right away and moved in closer. Erica's eyes widened. Bambi's jaw fell open in surprise. Fa twisted, then cleared suddenly as if fate had made it apparent. Scrappy's voice. Real. Honest. "She is not unimportant to me. Do you know that?" Shouts, cries, fans pointing, hugging each other, and Liv recording the word on their phones caused chaos to break out on the sidewalk. Erica's calm shattered for the first time that night, and her palm rushed to her lips. Bambi's face shifted, her rage shattering every thread of poise she had worked so hard to build. "Cut it off!" she yelled. "Stop it!" The video was already on the road, and bloggers were capturing screenshots when Scrappy rushed for the laptop, but it was too late. Twitter tweets were also being created faster than anybody could, and TikTokers were streaming live. "Avoid them." "Wow," Erica said in a shaky but triumphant whisper. "So that's how you really feel?" Her fury caused the crowd to yell louder. Now only inches away from Erica, Bambi spoke in a voice that could freeze the July air. "Don't pretend you were oblivious. Don't act like you didn't see this coming." Erica laughed bitterly and sharply. "Sweetheart, I'm waiting. I've been seeing a man who couldn't tell the truth when it mattered when you were alive." The statement echoed through the darkness like a gunshot. There was a shout from supporters. The level of security increased. Scrappy shouted, but his voice was lost in the din. Mama D, happy with the mayhem she had produced, stood tall with her arms crossed and watched it all happen like a queen. Just when it seemed that fists would soon be lifted, a voice that no one had expected and that muffled even the most ferocious screams appeared. A car door at the far end of the street slammed with a click like bullets striking the pavement, and a woman wearing stylish black heels emerged. The crowd scattered, confused, and screamed, "Is that? No way." It was, even if she wouldn't admit it. Kendra Young Jock's wife enters the fighting zone while already shooting on her phone. Her eyes flicked between Scrappy, Bambi, and Erica, and her lips formed a sly, knowing grin. "Looks like I came just in time," she said in a tone full of scorn and hatred. "You two are arguing about the crowd screamed so loudly that it seemed like the air in the street had been pulled out. Shreds when the actual tale hasn't even been released yet." Erica stiffened. Bambi gave a disbelieving blink, persistent, palled, and Mama D's happy face faltered for the first time all evening. because everything Kendra had to say was going to make anything they had just seen appear trivial. There was more than just a gasp from the crowd. When Kendra came closer, they froze. They seemed incapable of understanding that love and a new hip-hop queen had just entered the battle. Kendra was not supposed to be there. She was not invited. She wasn't scheduled. And yet there she was, dressed as if she had spent her whole life anticipating this moment. Her phone was already directed toward the chaos, capturing every scene for her own narrative, and her sophisticated black outfit gleamed in the streetlights. Her hair was slicked back into a powerful style. Her words flowed like poisoned honey as she talked slowly and methodically. "Y'all look real cute out here," she said. "Remember that neither of you is really in charge of this city. You are only fighting over a man who has already lost his kingdom." Thousands of people saw in real time as her eyes moved straight to Scrappy, setting off a chorus of shocked gasps from the crowd as bloggers pushed closer, and admirers scrawled wildly in their notebooks. "Please, Kendra. Didn't anybody ask for you?" Erica crossed her arms and scoffed, although her voice cracked slightly, indicating anxiety. "Babies." Her lips tightened as like she were pressing Kendra to go on. Kendra tilted her head back and shot back, "Oh, you didn't ask." The streets undoubtedly saw her sneer at her phone's camera. She pointed to the USB in Dee's hand and said, "Mama D wants to drop receipts, so how about I bring out some of my own?" Scrappy had a pallid face. Kendra ignored him and kept browsing, through her computer until she found what she was searching for, even as the crowd grew closer, waiting, buzzing like electricity before a storm. "Are you concerned by Scrappy's falsehoods?" As she eventually turned the phone to face them, she spoke confidently and loudly. "But how would I respond to the catastrophe between these two?" She indicated a movement between Erica and Bambi is more than just him. "A collective, huh?" rang along the street, and Erica's smile faltered, shook her head and blinked rapidly, as if she was having a hard time believing what she was hearing. With a trembling voice, Bambi screamed, "Are you telling the truth?" "Oh, I'm lying," the crowd roared when Kendra touched her tablet and zoomed in on what seemed to be screenshots of messages with dates stamped on them. With her teeth gleaming under the flashing lights of the admirers' cameras, her grin widened. The discussions were between two ladies, not a male. "Then tell me why you two were texting each other behind his back and why you had been controlling him and us for months." There were shouts throughout the night and several people yelled, "What? Not too far away. Do it again." The telephones tilted up. Even as her face stiffened, Erica's body betrayed her as she stepped back, her arms crossing more securely over her chest. Bambi's lips quirked in wonder, yet her gaze fluttered for a moment. "Erica, our ward." Enough to make the audience suspicious. Mama D's scream sounded like a play since it was so theatrical. With a cry of, "Not my palace, ladies," she clutched her bosom as if her own ancestry had betrayed her. Scrappy seemed to want for the ground to break apart and swallow him whole. In front of the whole city, it was all collapsing. "That's right," Kendra interjected, interrupting the commotion. "You two have been acting like enemies the entire time. Isn't there a person at the center of this? Have you all been playing a different game?" In actuality, however, you've been connected in ways that Scrappy was not aware of. Fans cheered, jeered, laughed, and screamed on Twitter within minutes. Livestreams sprang up, blogs instantly started posting tales, and hashtags like Shark Team Kendra, Ars Bambi vs Erica, and Hawk's Scrappy Played trended faster than the DJs could keep up. Kendra drops bombshell. Bambi's secret friendship with Erica. Bambi screamed and ran forward, her eyes burning, but her friends stopped her. Erica understood exactly what I was talking about, so she stood her ground and held the phone high like a weapon. "Whatever the situation, the people heard it and knew you were a snake." As the situation deteriorated into total chaos, fans shouted, "Fight! Fight! Fight!" And as Mama D fanned herself as if she were in the front row at a place she had secretly penned, Scrappy raged and security pushed. The walkways rocked under the weight of the shouting mob, and then what happened? With her phone still recording, Erica braced herself for a blow as Bambi broke away from her friends and came at her,